Once again this summer, Agweek is making stops throughout our region, checking on the progress of small grains. We kick off our 2022 cereals crop tour south of Fergus Falls, Minnesota, where Jeff Beach has a wheat update, including a new variety.
I'm here at the John Walkup Farm south of Fergus Falls with University of Minnesota Extension agronomist Joachim Wiersma. Joachim, why are we here today?
Well, I like to have field tours because all winter we talk about the varieties and the strengths and weaknesses. It's not the same as kicking the tires, but I like people to see the varieties and look at the varieties next to each other. So no better way to do that than actually come out to the yield trials.
And you've got a new variety to show off this year, is that right?
Yep. Linkert now has been in the market for pretty much a decade. It was the largest variety acreage-wise in Minnesota for 6 years in a row. The Ratsay, in a sense, is somewhat of a replacement for Linkert in that it has also stands out for its straw strength, but overall it has a little bit better disease package, a little bit better scab resistance, slightly higher yield, and about the same to slightly less grain protein per acre.
Tell us what you've seen across the fields in western Minnesota.
Overall, I'm more optimistic than at the beginning of the season because we started so late. Generally, the crops, what I find in small grains, the stuff that got planted on the last 2 weeks in May, from that May 14th to the 30th of May, shorter, well-tillered, decent head size on them, clean canopies, not a lot of aphids, if any. And right now, with the weather that we have, I'm more optimistic about the yield potential of that crop than I was at planting time. Those really late planted fields, there's going to be a crop to harvest, but it might be wetter than what we're used to.
Joachim Wiersma, thanks for joining us on the Agweek Cereals Crop Tour.
I'm here on the North Dakota-Minnesota border. We're just in rural Thompson, North Dakota on the Agweek Cereals Crop Tour. Joining me now is Caitlin Landis, Extension Agent in Grand Forks County. Tell us a little bit about what we're seeing today.
Sure, so we are out at the NDSU spring wheat, hard red spring wheat variety trials in Grand Forks County. And what we're looking at is different varieties from many different companies and how they compare to each other.
What has changed this season in cereals crops versus last season?
We have had a very drastic change in our seasons, from last year being very dry to this year where we've been on the wet side, especially earlier this spring. So plants are getting, wheat in general and all crops in general have gotten planted a little bit later this season, and that does have an effect on some types of management for farmers.
Share a little bit about some of the disease pressure that you're seeing and how it's being addressed.
We are seeing some bacterial leaf streak, and bacterial leaf streak in wheat and barley is one of the most economically important diseases in our area within the past 5 years. Why we're seeing it this year is with some of the high winds and the storms that we've had have kind of created an environment that allows some of these plants that are maybe a little bit more susceptible to it to become infected.
Share with us a little bit about small grains and crop rotation in this area.
Having a small grain in your crop rotation can be beneficial for a number of reasons. For one, it's a cool season grass or a cool season crop, unlike our soybeans and our corn, which are warm season. So it allows you to get the plant in at a slightly different time of year, and that can help with early season weed pressure. It can help with managing diseases. It's also nice for just a cover and a soil structure and building up some soil structure with a little bit more residue.
Caitlin Landis, thanks so much for joining us on the Agweek Cereals Crop Tour.
Our cereals tour continues next week.
The Agweek Cereals Crop Tour is sponsored by Hefty Seed Company of Wilton and Herdsfield, North Dakota, Corteva Agriscience, and Mosaic.
Thanks for watching Agweek TV on YouTube. Make sure to like and subscribe. We put out new videos every Saturday.